What was your first movie experience that you remember? For me, it was 300. Yes, 8-year-old me watched the DVD copy of 300 with my father, and safe to say his parenting was effective as I've adjusted well to say the least. But for many children, their first film they remember watching is definitely not Cars because that movie sucks, but one of the other mainline Pixar films. Maybe it was Monsters, Inc., Finding Nemo, or Toy Story 2. No matter what film you first saw, we can't deny the impact of Pixar on children today. But something most of us forget, because that's what children tend to do, is the shorts that came along with these superb films. It's something I've been fascinated with for a few months now because I don't remember seeing any of these as a child. So like a true scholar, I used a highly reputable Wikipedia article and found that there was a cornucopia of hidden gems and long forgotten short boys. I decided in that moment I must review every single one of these movies. So I came up with a list of 33 shorts, which then turned to 40, and then finally 42 shorts. We will be looking at all the original and feature-related shorts created by Pixar. We will also include the Toy Story shorts, Forky Asks a Question, and the SparkShorts, as these were what caused me to increase my list in the first place. I will not be including any of the licensed commercials or products for other companies that Pixar created, as there were at least 90 of them and I just refuse. I will also not be including the episodes, even though I watched them, because I'm not sure they can be classified as short films. If you really want my opinion on the episodes, they are not good. There's my review for the critically acclaimed episodes. Are you happy? One word of warning, footage for some of the newer shorts within the last 5 years is unavailable or will be blocked by Pixar, so the visuals will change somewhat during that portion when compared to the rest of the video. Alright, we don't need to waste any more time. Let's grab some milk duds, a glass of whole milk, and dive straight into this collection of animation. This is the first Pixar short. I mean, if we want to be technical, it was really created by the graphics group, which would go on to become Pixar, but I have no desire to be technical with a movie about a bee whose legs don't even connect to its body. The sound design is amazing. It's not good or even competent, but it's pretty funny and stupid. It's like none of the sound effects are within the same universe. Even though it's poorly animated and has a myriad of problems, it's got a lot of quaint charm behind it, and that keeps me from giving it a 1 out of 10. It's actually sort of enjoyable. It's honestly pretty hard to rate this one due to its age. I'm going to shove that bee up my ass and no one will stop me. I can't believe this is only 2 years removed from Video Arcade CD-ROM The Adventures of Andre and Wally B. The animation has taken a drastic step up and is fluid this time. I just want to adopt those little fucking lamps because damn, they're so cute. I don't have a deep thematic reasoning for liking Luxo Jr. It's just super cute, and I'm going to raise one of those lamps as my own. It's cheap pathos, and I'm a cheap man who will eat that nonsense up sometimes. I am going to beat that clown with a bike lock. I will break his legs. He will never see the light of day again. This nightmare putty clown will not get me, because I will get him first. I'm pretty sure this is the short that inspired Cars, and I will not forgive it for that sin. One actual piece of criticism I have is that while I do like the concept, I just feel we didn't get to explore that melancholy in an interesting way. It doesn't find a way to connect to the audience in a way that isn't interesting or unique. Oh no, oh god, keep it away from me, please. Oh no, why? What did I do to deserve this? I can't even be objective with this one, I apologize. How am I supposed to review this properly when I have to stare into the eyes of that thing? I can't even imagine an actual child having to see this, and then they're terrified of babies for life. Babies, God's most unholy creature according to John Lasseter. Never reference this abomination again, please and thanks. The early Pixar films can be classified into 2 categories, Lovecraftian nightmare fuel or super cute fluffy marshmallow films. Safe to say this one's a marshmallow film. There's not a ton going on here, but there doesn't have to be. It's a horny little snowman trying to have sexual intercourse with a cute woman, but he can't because he's eternally trapped in a snow globe. The music is genuinely good, and the end credits song gave me the chuckles. The setup allows for some easy yet somewhat funny gags and goofs. I will not rest until we get my man some sexual intercourse. Our king deserves it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our very first hot take in this video. I didn't like Jerry's Game. This one is a prime example of tonal clashing, which I wouldn't mind if it was going for dark humor, but in order for it to be dark humor, it has to acknowledge the subject matter, which Pixar doesn't. You've got an old man who is so lonely he has conjured a scenario where he is playing himself. That is some sad shit. But it's never addressed outside of the first minute. It's got the potential to be something poignant and funny, but it just comes across as uncomfortable for the most part. This is the first remarkable Pixar short movie for a few different reasons. First, no hideous nightmare creations, which is already a step up from most of them. 2, it's cute. But third, and this has been the hard one to pull off so far, it's got a competent theme. We don't need a deep exploration of bullying in a 4-minute film aimed for children, but this one does a satisfactory job without treating the audience like idiots. It's simple to understand, but it's still engaging. The one thing keeping me from giving this a higher score is that the bird noises are slightly annoying. Does this have anything to say? No. Is this funny? No. I can at the very least say this is probably the least offensive short film so far, if that's a compliment. This is clean animation, it's not great, but it's not so polygonal and sharp like the previous movies that'll cut you just by looking at them. It's a bunch of cliche jokes done by Billy Crystal and John Goodman. That's how I would describe this short. If you like slapstick you've seen before, then you're gonna love this short. I mean, the weird car doesn't do what he wants to do. That's pretty funny, huh? Laugh, laugh, laugh. I'm not super familiar with Bud Lucky, but a lot of people have a strong attachment to him, and he's the writer, director, and main narration for this film. I really enjoy the sing-songy nature, as if it's being told around a campfire on a wilderness retreat. The thing that really fails this film is the animation and character design. We got fun character design a few years earlier with For the Birds, but I feel they gave Bud the lower tier of talent at Pixar. This one will probably have a soft spot in my heart for a while, as it just has so much charm behind it. This is just solid Brad Bird humor with more Jack Jack. See, Brad Bird? This is how you do Jack Jack and still make it funny. Brad Bird has the power to make Jack Jack both laugh out loud funny and painfully unfunny within the same universe, and that's kinda cool. I wish the punchlines hit a little harder, but it's kinda hard when there isn't really a ton of setup here. We don't get a ton of build-up for jokes because of how short the movie is, so we need the punchlines to hit a little faster and a little harder. There are 2 ways to watch this. The wrong way, and with the commentary. Without the commentary, it's like a 5 out of 10, but honest to God, having Craig Nelson and Samuel L. Jackson remark on this shit is just hilarious, and I honestly think half of it's ad-libbed. This is the first Pixar short that had me doubled over, almost howling because of the near-perfect chemistry between these two and the perfect jokes. Lastly, I love how overtly American the actual cartoon is. It comes across as propaganda and it's superb. It's the only redeeming part of the actual short because the whole thing gets stale very quickly. For a short movie that is entirely music, the sound design is off for some reason. I at one point saw the big bass drum pounding, but there was no bass drum sound. The entire thing is about music. It's solely about music. How? You just forget the bass drum. How do you forget it? I, on the other hand, do like the design of the instruments and some of the creative choices of the sound if it's actually there, but it just never felt like they got the music right. Great in theory, whack execution at points. The little girl plays a pretty sweet fiddle, though. God, I hate cars so much. I do not want to review this movie, so instead I think I'll recite a poem. I do not like Mater in cars. I do not like him in my house. I do not like him with a blouse. I do not like him hanging out with my wife. I do not like him in my life. I do not like him with green eggs and ham. I like almost nothing about this short film. It's just so bad. I despise Larry the Cable Guy. I am never talking about another piece of Mater media again for the rest of my life. That was mad funny, bro. I'm literally wheezing. No, but in all seriousness, this is decently amazing comedy. I never laughed out loud, but my body spasmed trying to hold in laughter because it was 3 a.m. when I watched this. The biggest issue is the art direction and animation because there really isn't any semblance of style present here. It feels as if any animation studio put this together, and that's the one thing I always love about Pixar is that their films look distinct. Sad to say, you could have told me this was made by DreamWorks, Blue Sky, or Illumination, and I'd probably believe you. Maybe not Illumination because it doesn't look like absolute garbage, but any of the other two I would have believed. This is charming for about 3 minutes. The runtime is 11 minutes. 11 minutes. 11 minutes! Okay, that may seem negligible, but short films need to be snappy and execute their idea in the shortest amount of time possible. These Pixar shorts generally have one main concept and one, maybe 2 ways of exploring it. To do that for 11 minutes becomes tedious. It's a shame that no one tried to trim this script because it's a disservice to the interesting visual style being presented. Make this 5 minutes long and cut the godforsaken song and allow the visuals to shine. You'll have a much better movie, one that I can actually like. Besides the irreversible physical and neurological damage the magician received, I think that magic show went pretty well. This is one that I honestly kinda love. It's so creative with its slapstick comedy, it feels like a classic cartoon you'd see on a Saturday morning. Yet I love that it kinda reverses some of these classic tropes. The key one being that you think the guy is going to be crushed by the piano because that's what happens in every single cartoon. But it doesn't, and I appreciate that. It feels both distinctly Pixar, yet it also feels like the product of one person with a solidified vision. Give me more focused, well-paced shorts like this one, please. This one suffers the opposite problem of that stupid Chef Rat Boyardee movie. I actually wanted a little more out of this flick, and I think that's the sign of a good short film. It should leave you wanting more, or at the very least, satisfied. Burn-E fills me up like a big boy meal that my mommy buys for me because I'm a big boy. The charm grows on you, as does the humor of the whole situation, which is the point of Burn-E. But you've got to have something at the beginning to keep the audience's attention. Specifically mine, because I'm the only one watching this in 2019. This might be the only one I will actively avoid spoiling. Go into this one blind. I'm a sucker for weird shit. You watch as many movies as me, and you start to zone out while watching the exact same plot elements be done in the exact same way almost every single time without fail. So when a film has the audacity to try something wacky, I have a tendency to really enjoy it and engage with the material. This is the only Pixar short film to get me to audibly say, oh. I just kept saying it. Compared to something like The Lighthouse, it's relatively tame, but for Pixar, yeah, it's a little offbeat and adventurous. I'll take what I can get as I slog through these. Sue me. They recycled jokes from Up. They recycled the cool idea of the short film taking place during the time frame of the original film. I did not like this one bit. It's not charming, it's not cute, it's not even funny. Those are the 3 most basic superficial qualifications I asked for when watching these. I want something to challenge me intellectually, but I knew that wasn't going to happen with Doug's special mission, so I wasn't expecting it. So at the very least, it could have been one of those 3 things. It just didn't happen. You know that YouTube video of Pro ZD eating Oreo cookies and then progressively hating Oreo cookies more and more over the course of 30 minutes? This is how I feel about this sudden trend of making entire short films about side characters I completely forgot about 5 minutes after walking out of the theater. I'd genuinely rather watch the old Pixar short movies that looked as if they would cut me with their jagged polygons than this emptiness. There is nothing interesting happening here. No unique plot, jokes, or anything of value. This isn't good bad. It's just bad, and that's the worst kind of bad you can get. Someone needs to get the Pixar people laid. Why are inanimate objects and metaphysical concepts always trying to fuck blondies? I don't understand it. I really appreciate how they utilize the visual possibilities and concept really well here. They explore everything they needed to do visually. The only problem is that there isn't anything going on in terms of substance or actual humor outside day and night being absolute horn dogs. I feel a lot of these Pixar shorts either have a really interesting idea, unique visuals, or a very solid message, but they usually only accomplish 1, maybe 2 of these things out of the 3. I just need a few that will complete the trifecta so Daddy can be happy again. Outside of those two stupid up shorts, I think we're starting to turn this ship around. These have been starting to get consistently good for the most part, and if you can't handle Pixar at its tin toy, you don't deserve it at its La Luna. What I really like about La Luna is just how clever it is. I didn't see the little twist at the end coming. Visually, this one is probably my favorite so far. I love the usage of blues, blacks, and whatever color the stars are. The only big issue I have with this is the generic sweet music used throughout. I can't even recall what it sounds like, and I'm only 10 minutes removed from watching it. One small detail that I like is that you don't see the two men's eyes until Danny Boy shatters the big boy star. It's a nice touch that doesn't mean a whole lot, but something I liked. I want more Great Depression moon sculptor movies, please. It is my favorite genre. You know that thing where I said it seems like we've turned the ship around? Well, I guess not, because this one is just painfully okay. I laughed 2 times, but outside of that, it was just fine. I didn't smile, I didn't frown, I didn't cry, I didn't piss my pants, I just existed while watching this. I think a lot of this has to do with the fundamental premise being rather boring. The toys put on a fake vacation for Ken and Barbie. It's such a lame premise, especially compared to some of the other Toy Story shorts like Forky Asks a Question. There is nothing to explore here. This is such a cool concept. I'm being completely genuine here, no sarcasm. I love the idea of the Toy Story franchise exploring kids' meal toys. So this is an area left untouched by the films. There is a plethora of interesting and unique scenarios, and this short decided to present this shit in the least interesting way possible. Ultimately, it's fine. Like, I don't care about this movie. There's nothing to latch onto. I don't know how to critique these stupid Toy Story shorts when they are the safest bastards in cinematic history. Hell, I didn't like Tin Toy or Mike's New Car, but at least they were bad and committed. This never commits and is just fine. People of this great United States and of the free globe, we can rejoice. We got one good Toy Story tune. This one isn't particularly funny. I think I laughed once, but I was constantly engaged because there was effort here. Good effort too. I know it's not particularly original, but I always love the child playing with toys becoming a huge set piece thing that the short does. I know it's been done in the mainline movies, but I was pleasantly surprised to see them incorporate it here. Also, like Small Fry, this short takes a previously unexplored aspect of toys, like bathtub toys, and shows us how they live in a way that is actually kind of fun. I also love the focus on Rex being a hero. I always like to see perpetually picked on side characters finally get to be the big man on campus, even if it's just with the bathtub toys short. I'm someone who gets really interested in lore. I like reading all the character bios in the Arkham games, or even checking out the collectibles in pretty much any game I play. But, and I mean this sincerely, I don't give a shit about the lore in Brave. Why did they make a lore movie for Brave? This is all information that is shown or implied in the original film. I just find these lazy, and as someone who's just injecting all these shorts in at once, I feel much more seething anger to the films that don't even try, like The Legend of Mordu. Visually, this is my favorite of the bunch. I think this looks better than the newer Pixar shorts such as Bow, and Bow is really pleasant to look at. A lot of this can be attributed to the spectacular lighting and compositing. Sometimes it can feel like different parts of an animation team worked on different elements separately, so you'll get a bit of clash between the visual design. But with Blue Umbrella, these bastards are walking side by side down the aisle together. Every single visual aspect complements the other parts of the film. I love the camera work. At first I was getting annoyed with the shaky cam at the start, but once I realized why the director was using it, I was completely on board. They found a way to incorporate the camera work into the overall film's mood. That's incredibly rare to find, and to think a Pixar short did it when most feature-length films can't be bothered to give an attempt is just amazing. The funniest thing about this movie is that it thinks that pizza is the real reason why college students go to parties and not their overwhelming desire to develop alcoholism as early as possible. This one isn't bad, it has some clever jokes, but really there isn't much to say about it. I find it really funny to think about the implications of this movie on the surrounding universe, even though it doesn't really matter in the end. Mike and Sully most likely ruin that couple's marriage as neither of them knows what to believe anymore. They'll probably be fired from their jobs and seen as crackpots. No one will believe their stories. They will be isolated, depressed, and will ultimately spend the rest of their days cursing monsters. All because Mike and Sully wanted to throw a party. This one is personal. I'm willing to admit that. But this short blows. I despise it. It's a stupid story that isn't interesting or told in an interesting way. It's just a simple love story that adds nothing new to the party. None of the visuals pop or keep me engaged whatsoever. The song doesn't even sound like it's on beat. That's the main draw of this movie. It's just one big song. How could you screw up the song? How? How? Please explain. This is just a bad job all around, and everyone involved with this will not feel any lava from me. Lava? Get it? Do you get it? Because it sounds like love? So I'm saying they won't be receiving any of my love. Or any of my lava. Do you get it? Pixar thinks you're idiots, so you obviously don't get it, so hopefully that explanation helped. Sanjay would probably beat Tony Stark to death. This is probably the most interesting idea out of all the Pixar shorts. But a film isn't just about the idea. The execution matters. If it didn't, I'd be head over heels in love with Jupiter Ascending. What I love about the execution here is that it isn't just flashy style changes, which are pretty nice, but it's a lot more than that. It would be super easy to have this just be one big action scene and end it there, but this is broken up by quiet, drastically quiet scenes with his dad. I also love the focus on the culture here. I wish more film companies would give filmmakers from a different background a chance to tell stories like this because it's so interesting. This one is incredibly shallow, doesn't attempt many ideas, and is pretty bland visually. And you know what? I still really like it. This one is comparable to the Jack Jack attack, where the main draw is the humor. I'd say it works just about as well. Maybe even a little better than Jack Jack in terms of humor. The biggest complaint I have with Riley's first date is the mom speaking in hip teen lingo. I get that it's supposed to be a joke, but I find it both annoying and rather unfunny. Outside of that, we gotta give some points to the dad for being an absolute player. Kissing your wife? My man. Levels of cuteness this high should not be legal, nor should the animation be this gorgeous. Those two things save this film and it sort of becomes a crutch. I think this film might have had some more staying power if it had a through line. With Blue Umbrella, you had the relationship between the two umbrellas. With Piper, you have a few different things becoming the main focus, that being the food, sometimes the mother, sometimes the crab, and sometimes the waves. I just think for the sake of brevity, it should have focused on one thing. Perhaps little Piper Bird overcomes your fear of the waves, and that is the one thing this film has in terms of plot. I don't even know why I'm trying to rework an animated short from 3 years ago. My life is sad. Oh, cool, the Finding Dory short is about the same quality as Finding Dory. It really gives you the same feelings as Finding Dory as well. It's bland, it's not funny, and it ultimately leaves a sour taste in your mouth. All the things I felt while watching Finding Dory. Why would you make an entire film about Dory? Please answer me that. She struggles to form connections and can't attach herself to people because of her memory. That isn't interesting to me. Or maybe it's interesting when she's a side character, but there isn't enough layers for her to be a titular protagonist. I don't even care this turned into a review of Finding Dory. I hate that movie. This is Cool Cat Saves the Kids, but Butch the Bully gets a redemption arc and Cool Cat is now a lost and found monster. I really enjoy this one. It doesn't have the flashiest of visuals or the prettiest shading, but is one of the most visually engaging Pixar shorts. My biggest thing you will hear me repeat to death on this channel when talking about animation is the idea of using this medium in a way you can't with live action film. The way they show this lost and found monster you can't do with live action film. It's fantastic design and design usage. It's really simple and creative. Lou also moved me emotionally with its simplicity in telling the bully's story. This is just a nice experience. I haven't seen Cars 3 or Cars 2. I don't plan on seeing them for as long as I can. I haven't seen Cars 1 in a couple of years, with the only thing I distinctly remember besides not liking it is that Mater is the most grating character on this planet. So I don't know how tied to the world of Cars this is, but I refuse. I absolutely refuse to accept the canon that the Cars have internet. I just don't like these Cars shorts. I'm pretty sure the Cars movies won't be any better, and I'll continue putting off a Cars movie marathon for as long as I can. These shorts aren't funny, clever, or visually interesting. There's nothing of quality here. Thanks, I hate it. Thanks, Pixar. You made a short film that without fail makes me feel like a piece of shit after watching it. Honestly, I need to give my mom a hug. Sometimes a film connects with you and you love it beyond reason. That's how I am with Bao. I always forget how beautiful and emotional this flick is for me. I've seen it 3 times and it's always a guaranteed cry for me. My favorite aspect of Bao is how they treat the audience. It never feels like it's looking down telling this message. Treating the audience like stupid kids, it's not doing that. It's meeting us eye to eye, and we can have a conversation. A deep, powerful conversation about a film where a woman eats her own son. I've never been a huge fan of Jack Jack. I liked his utilization in Jack Jack Attack and in the first Incredibles, but I've grown tired of him. It's just the same sort of jokes told in a much less funny way, or the exact same way the original told those jokes. I only cracked a smile once during this one, so take that for what you will. Even Edna Mode wasn't as funny as she was originally. It feels like the classic Disney idea of fabricated magic. Instead of letting new and interesting ideas create the classic Disney magic, they've turned to beating old ideas to death in order to create the classic Disney magic feel. That simply doesn't work in general, and it doesn't work here. This is currently an ongoing series on Disney Plus right now, so I've only seen the first 2 episodes. For all I know, this could be shit by episode 3 and it's just Forky doing heroin. I can't predict the future, so I'll talk about the first 2 episodes I've seen in generalities. The intro for this show is so funny. The way the narrator reads the phrase, Forky asks a question, is gut-busting. Overall, these are nice, inoffensive, and decently funny. They also serve as somewhat educational content, so I would recommend this show to help teach kids about certain concepts. I like this one. It engaged in a topic I was surprised to see handled by a Pixar short movie. Most of the time, these shorts handle super simple shit like friendship, dreams, and lava. I love you. The jokes were also pretty funny here. I'm not sure about the voice work overall though. I felt as if the main character came across as too annoying, and for the message, I'm not sure that's the direction they should have gone with. You shouldn't feel disdain towards this character due to her weird pitch and tone of voice. In order to make the message work, she has to be an endearing character. It's about workplace inclusion. But I'm not including this annoying pitched piece of yarn to the office brewski hours. In fact, most of the people in this office can piss off. I'm going to get drunk and sad by myself. I can't believe they decided to turn Snowpiercer into an animated movie. This one's pretty decent. I like the idea of exploring oppression because it's something which none of these short films have done yet. But, as I've said before, a great idea can only get you so far. The execution matters. This falls into the same boat as Pearl. Interesting theme. Really interesting theme. Shallow execution. You can explore these unique themes in a different way. Bao is exploring something much different than the other Pixar shorts, and it does it fantastically. The runtime is not a sufficient excuse to explore these ideas generically. I will say the music is really nice though. Good work with that. I genuinely hate cats for the most part, but this film got me to reconsider my lifelong blind rage towards those little shits. What I adore about this movie, outside of the wonderfully unique presentation and animation, is the non-verbal storytelling, and some of it is decently subtle. As subtle you can get with a Pixar short. The dog being covered with injuries after getting thrown out leads the audience to believe he's a dog used in pit bull fights. Then, coming full circle with that idea, when the human goes to pet him, we see some apprehension from the dog, because most fighting dogs get beat by their owners. That moment moved me emotionally. I wasn't ugly crying like in Bow, but I'd be a rat liar if I didn't admit I was on the verge of letting out a manly tear or two. This one had me thinking about why I watch film. It's because of the filmmakers. It's because of the stories. And ultimately, it's because of the people. Sure, this one isn't the most subtle, but I still think it works very well. It's a metaphor for autism, people on the spectrum, and specifically parents who raise people who are considered different. The climax hits you like a semi-truck. Why can't you be normal? And then you have the dad realizing his mistake. This film comes from a place of truth. It comes from the heart. And for me, that's more important than any heavy-handed imagery or symbolism. It's personal, it's honest, and I can't help but love it. I genuinely didn't know I had the strength to get through all these shorts. I'm so glad there are no more shorts. It was almost a slog at times to get through all of them, especially in the middle. As a community, we did this together, and we can rejoice in... Wait. No, those don't exist. I'm just being stupid. Sorry, I just had a very dark thought which, if were true, might break me. As I was saying, as a community... Later. No. I thought these were just a legend, only existing as a form of torture to make children behave. I refuse to believe this is reality. Get a grip. It's just some more Cars shorts I have to talk about, that's all. What's the worst that can happen? No, I can't risk it. I'm going to pull an epic American gamer move and outsource this labor to a child labor center. Wait, I have the perfect man-child who can review all these Cars shorts for me.
Hi, I'm Mick, aka Mike. I've stopped by a few times. I killed a critic's wife, and now I'm about to kill his channel appeal. Just know he's serious about the child labor because he's not paying me at all. Critic recommended I take up the job of going over the Cars tune shorts. Get it? Cause they're Cars? I had a vague understanding of what they were, something to keep a semblance of relevance for the Cars movies amongst the Pixar audience, or any audience. But then I remembered what they really were. These were the shorts that used to put me to sleep. Yeah, they would just keep rerunning them late nights, like all the Boomerang bumpers.
Me and my friends get no respect. What does Scooby do that?
Except they were less catchy and more boring. After taking a look at them now, though, they're alright.
Whoa! Mick, you can't say that on my channel.
Sorry, instinct. I don't remember much of the Cars movies besides what people thought about the Cars movies, and what people thought about the Cars movies was that they were generally underwhelming. I haven't seen Cars 3, but I think it was received better than the others. Definitely better than Cars 2. I have Cars 2, but I just used it as a case for a copy of Batman Arkham Knight. I have no idea what the original is. If anything, I probably thought the first one was boring and the second one was just overall unimpressive, but surprisingly these shorts are neither. They're not like top Pixar quality or anything, but a gold mine compared to the other two films. The entertainment value raises a ton due to the pacing. There's a certain quota it has to fulfill, so they gotta make it snappy. There are two segments to these shorts, Mater's Tall Tales and Tales from Radiator Springs, with the more notable one being Tall Tales.
If I'm lying, I'm crying.
Look at this cool ass. Each short is based around the Tall Tale formula. Mater and McQueen are doing whatever, I guess. Something comes up that reminds Mater of his past and he tells a tale, ranging from finding aliens to being a matador or an astronaut or a daredevil.
Excuse me, pardon me, coming through. Good to see you. My bad. Hey, Ricky, how's the kid? What's your hood?
And more. Each of the shorts has its own story, taking up the spirit of each occupation. And that's the biggest appeal to me. The fact that it rides the lines of parody and satire, fully embracing the style or genre of whatever story Mater tells. At first, McQueen's all like, Cap, star, chill. But then in the heat of each story, he's like, wow, that's crazy. How'd you get out of that? And every time Mater says, well, you was here too.
What? What? Ah!
Which, you know, canonically makes no sense because their first meeting was in the first movie. I mean, I guess you could say he created a paradox when he time traveled, making him associated with McQueen beforehand. And if Endgame taught me anything, it's that interfering with the past creates an entirely new timeline instead of
Why
affecting
the
current future.
fuck am I talking about Cars, Lord?
I remember when I was a homosexual. No, you were not.
Dadgum, I was, and you was there too.
There's Mater the Greater, Rescue Squad Mater, Monster Truck Mater, Unidentified Flying Mater, El Matador, Moon Mater, Heavy Metal Mater, Mater Private Eye, Tokyo Mater, Mater. Oh, I see why they did this now. The Greater is pretty fun. I'm actually surprised we don't see a lot more Daredevil stunts in the mainstream. Rescue Squad is like a 70s cop show with its funk soul and smooth talking main character. That happens to be Mater. Oh yeah, I forgot. He got like groupies and shit. And the kicker is they used to be on McQueen's dick. And then the chick! Ka-chigga! Lightning McQueen, more like Lightning McCuck.
You know her? She's a town attorney and my fiancée.
What?
Get fucked! Monster Truck Mater is pretty fun. I like monster truck rallies and things like that because they're just pretty fucking cool. Unidentified Flying Mater is okay. This is the one they used to rerun the most, so I didn't really care much watching it again. It's odd that the UFO just happens to resemble Mater, but I'm not gonna sit here and nitpick a goddamn car short. El Matador, another fun one. Moon Mater had a lot of shots similar to real space launches and put a lot of tension into set launch like any other space movie, so that was pretty cool. Time Travel Mater's a bit longer and switches up the formula a bit by actively starting the story and letting McQueen be a part of it. It's actually pretty sweet and it felt good to watch. Oh yeah, and there's Air Mater to tie in with planes. Remember planes? Did you remember they were in the same world? Yeah, me neither. It feels even more contrived than usual and I didn't really care to watch it. Hard pass. Now my favorites happen to be Tokyo Mater. This one just goes full Tokyo drift. The animation really shines in this one. Just because they're shorts, they didn't skip out on presentation. I mean, of course, it's Pixar. They've only gotten better with time. But even in their shortcomings, the fact is they're still pioneers. They create a very fantasized version of it with everything constantly moving and being flashy. They use style to their advantage, taking a bit from anime. The shots and all-around energy are very dynamic and it never slows down. Cause they're cars! Private Eye Mater, it channels 50s pulp and noir stories. Speakeasies, sneaky mistresses and all, betrayal of love and mob bosses. All the characters take up their respective archetypes with the over-dramatized nature of everything. Classic shit. Heavy Metal Mater. This one stood out more with presentation than anything to me. Mater's involved in the heavy metal band, not unlike Kiss or Judas Priest or the Hex Girls, and they go all out with the flamboyant showcase aspect of those bands. And hey, McQueen doesn't get shit on and has the spotlight for a bit in each.
Lightning Dragon McQueen.
I'll take care of this. Dragon style!
Spinning Dragon Attack.
E-Boy McQueen? Okay, he do be looking kinda fresh though. He's still a simp! What doesn't stand out is how contrived it is. It's not my biggest issue, but it's where my main gripe with all of them comes into play. The formula gets real old after like 3 of them. Yeah, I had those favorites, but I kinda knew what I was getting into. I expected to enjoy them mostly due to personal preference. I watched Rescue Squad first and then Monster Truck and was like, yeah, I ain't really feeling it now. I felt like there wasn't really much to say about them individually because I didn't want to just repeat myself, which I kinda do already. They're not poorly made, but it's like, you get what you see. They're car shorts. Sorry, Cars Tunes, such genius. But yeah, it's not really a bad thing. What is bad is the fucking logic applied to these vehicles.
Pixar thought it was a bright idea to just start giving inanimate objects feelings and make bank off of it. Or John Lasseter just really liked cars and touching women. But the problem with Cars was that it was so void of any real personality, solely for the fact that it's just if cars were living beings. It's not clever. They barely do any real world building with it besides puns. So there's no point. When I can barely get attached to your premise, that's when I start thinking about the logic of your world. How the fuck do they hold shit? How is construction done? Who builds all this shit? What about clearance? Do they just drink motor oil? How do they fuck? I'm not even joking. That's a legitimate question I have. Who is their god? Is it the fucking Michelin Man? In Heavy Metal Mater, they start doing this shit.
No! No!
I barely let the fucking drums pass. But no! You need all of your fingers to work a guitar! Fingers! As in which a car definitively does not have! It's the same reason we berate animals! Because they don't have thumbs!
But yeah, overall, I'd say if you want, go ahead and give some a watch. Critics said to give them a rating, so here you go, I guess. If you disagree with my Mater ratings, just know that you have no value to me as a human being whatsoever. My Mater opinions matter only. The Michelin gods wish you an oil-slick death, you feeble-minded heathens. Oh. Shit, there's more. Man, what the fuck do I do now? I ended the video on a high note already. Whatever. As I said, the other half is Tales of Radiator Springs. It's a very limited amount of shorts. There's bugged, hiccups, and spinning. They're pretty self-explanatory. You know, I'm coming in sounding all doom and gloom, but they're not bad. They're harmless. All of them are pretty wholesome. Just kind of like a day in the life of Radiator Springs thing. They do what they gotta do for a Pixar short. There is a bigger one though. Radiator Springs 500 and a half. There's very few things I wanted to say, but I still want to say it. It's a lightning round, I guess. First off, throughout all these shorts, Lightning's voice isn't Owen Wilson. It's Keith Ferguson. He played Blue in Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, but for this one, Wilson returns. For some reason. The plot of this one has the town celebrating Radiator Springs founder Stanley and planning to go on an expedition across the town. Some Baja racers pull up, put disrespect on Stanley's name, and challenge McQueen to an off-road race.
Enough already! Let's go!
This man just shit himself. The town continues its leisurely stroll while the racers literally get sidetracked. The animation here is weird. It might be a slower frame rate. Movements are stiffer. It kind of reminds me of that one Jimmy Neutron car commercial. That thing is cursed. It's not bad at all though. I actually think it works in the favor of the races. The camera is placed on the car at times, making you a part of the action, which I'm usually a sucker for. I always find it cool when action scenes do that. The town stroll actually lets you take in the parts of the town that the movies have never went to, and they're pretty beautiful. Pretty beautiful. Pick one. Beautiful. Even the rougher places that the racers go through, giving you a good scale of their environments. The comedy does not hit. At all. A lot of it revolves around Mater, because that's obviously a staple. By this point, you'd probably assume I'd had enough of seeing his face, hearing his voice. I've never said Mater so many times in my life, so more of him wasn't that great. Am I done now? I think I'm done. Thanks, critic. Sorry about your wife.
I win.
Mick Bizzle, you are my knight in shining armor. Please reward his efforts by subscribing to him, please. So I want to rank and classify these in a way that isn't stereotypical. It would have been very easy to have constructed this video from worst to best, but I wanted to go on a journey through time. We saw some good, some bad, some ugly, and some tin toy. I think putting them into a tier list would be the best way to rank these shorts. We have the normal S, A, B, C, D, E, and F tiers, but we're going to put 6 movies into each letter, no more and no less. I also won't be including the Cars tunes in this tier list because I don't want to acknowledge their existence any more than I already have. We all understand the rules? Excellent. For the Stinky Boy tier, the fat Fs, we're going to put Lava, Miss Fritter's Racing School, Mater and the Ghostlight, George and AJ, The Legend of Mordu, and Tin Toy. The worst of this tier is Lava, and the best is Tin Toy. Now for the E tier, because watching any of these films may cause you to execute yourself, we have Doug's Special Mission, Marine Life Interviews, The Adventures of Andre and Wally B, Mike's New Car, Small Fry, and Red's Dream. The worst of this section is no doubt Doug's Special Mission, and at the top we got Red's Dream. Funny how both the Nightmare Fuel movies reign supreme in their tier list. We move on to the D tier, and these are the short flicks that won't actively cause you pain. We have Your Friend the Rat, Auntie Edna, Hawaiian Vacation, Jerry's Game, Bounden, and Party Central. Our stinker here is Your Friend the Rat, with Party Central being the best of these middling flicks. Let's get average, baby, because these are the middle of the pack for Pixar, and unsurprisingly, Pixar's middle of the pack is still quite enjoyable to an extent. For this one, we have Smash and Grab, One Man Band, Pearl, Forky Asks a Question, Day and Night, and finally Riley's First Date. I think I liked Riley's First Date the most and had Smash and Grab as the worst out of these 6. We're playing with the big boys now because B stands for Big Boy Time. In the B tier we have Partysaurus Rex, Burn-E, Knick-Knack, Jack-Jack Attack, Piper, and Luxo Jr. Me being the big boy that I am, I choose Luxo Jr. as being the champion of the Bs, and Partysaurus Rex being the bottom of the rung. Y'all ready for the A's? In this part of the list we have For the Birds, La Luna, Partly Cloudy, Float, Lifted, and Lou. Our strongest film here is Lou, and For the Birds is our weakest of the A tier. The creme de la crepe of the Pixar shorts, the S tier. Here we have Sanjay's Super Team, Presto, Kit Bull, Bow, Mr. Incredible and Pals, and Blue Umbrella. The worst one, which is a harsh word to use to describe this film, is Sanjay's Super Team in the S tier. My absolute favorite, not just of the S's, but of all the Pixar shorts, is the Blue Umbrella. A wonderfully delightful, gorgeous, and simple tale of love told in a uniquely perfect way. I love Pixar, and while I may never watch another Pixar movie again after force-feeding myself Pixar short film after Pixar short film, I still love them with all of my heart. They're short, but they left an impact on me. I got to see the highs and lows of animation, the peaks and valleys of storytelling being pushed by time constraints. And those constraints provided the ultimate trial. Some failed, but many flew high, soaring and moving a cynical bastard like myself to tears a few times. We wouldn't be where we are now without Pixar constantly pushing the envelope of what was thought to be possible with animation. We got to go on a journey and see the evolution of animation before our very eyes. We got to go from a nightmare clown to one of the most visually beautiful pieces of media I've ever seen. I'm glad each one of these shorts exist. They all have a unique purpose and help shape the history of this art form. We should celebrate these shorts as real movies, because that's what they are. They're poignant. They're beautiful. Except for Lava. That is a trash movie, and if given 2 bullets, a gun, the option between shooting Hitler or Lava, I would shoot Hitler twice and beat Lava to death with my own 2 hands. Thank you for watching, everyone. Big shout out to Mick Bizzle for basically creating a video within a video. Please give him some love. On his YouTube, his Twitter, I'm going to have it all in the description down below. His content is so good, guys. You probably hate the idea of pure joy if you aren't watching his videos already. Thank you to everyone who's been supporting the channel. I'd highly encourage you to support me on Patreon if you like the direction of my content, follow me on Twitter, and join my Discord. Subscribe, hit the bell, and farewell.